welcome to the Millennium stage. And this performance is a part of the Ireland 100 Festival, celebrating Irish arts and culture. This three-week festival, curated by Alicia Adams, ran from May 17th, and tonight's performance is the last one of the series, but we saved the best for last. So without further ado, let's welcome Liz Carroll and Jake Charron.
Hi, everyone. How are you? We're so happy to be here, so here we go. little early for that, isn't it? The horses in Washington, D.C. are going to go running when they see what's starting to happen here so soon. So listen, thanks very much. We started there with a great old tune that, actually there are words to it, and it's called the Foggy Dew, and maybe some of you know that song. I'm sure it was played over the last 3 weeks here, commemorating 100 years of Irish art and culture, and of course it's the 100-year anniversary of the 1916 uprising. And we actually followed it up with 3 reels. How did you do with those? Were you able to follow all of that? You're like, what's she going on about? There are 3 tunes there. I actually enjoyed the third tune is a tune that I named for a guitar player, a friend of mine in Chicago, whose name is Jim Dewan. So it's just called a reel for Jim Dewan. The second tune was a tune that's called Half Day Road, and it's named after a road that's just south of me, where I live in Illinois. Anybody from Chicago or climbs here? There we go, the yes. And the first tune is actually, my parents are both from Ireland. My father was from County Offaly, which a lot of people don't really know, but an awful lot of people know the town of Tullamore, because you might even be serving Tullamore whiskey over there, not sure. And my mom is from County Limerick, which I think everybody here would have heard of Limerick. And I was having a hard time, sometimes I'm naming tunes and I'm not sure what I'm going to name them, but I had my son Patrick in the car with me one day and said, you know, I have this tune and I really need to name it now for this gal that's going to record it, named Zoe Conway. And he thought for a second, he says, why don't you call it Heath and Bernie's? And I said, do tell. And he said, well, you know how Granny likes to pray for dead celebrities? And I said, right. And so it's a tune for, that's right, Heath Ledger and Bernie Mac, named by my mom. So there we go. So anyway, we're going to continue. Less talk, you'll be glad to know. A couple of polkas. That same mom of mine that's from Limerick is very close to County Kerry, where polkas are a big, big deal. And so we love to play them. And here's 2. One is called The Cat. The other one is called Attain McKinney's. And here we go. you. Well, it's actually fun here. Now, I don't know if it's gotten really crazy outside yet, but aren't we glad we're inside? Just in case. Thanks very much. I'm going to switch Jake over here to the piano. And so Jake is all the way from Toronto. Give him a hand there, or a big A. We're going to play back in Chicago at the Art Institute. There was this lovely show, maybe display there of Irish furniture, Irish art that happened St. Patrick's Day 2015. And so we had a chance to write some music for the different rooms. So there were 7 rooms, and this was written for the rooms that had, religion, Dublin, and ceramics. I kind of figure that this track on Amazon.com is probably not going to be a big winner, unless people are looking for tracks called furniture and metalwork. But anyway, it was a lot of fun to do. The Loch Derg Cross, it was one of the pieces in the Art Museum, and it was found in Loch Derg. It was a very religious site there in the northern part of Ireland, and we follow it with 2 reels. So a little bit of a slow piece, and the first reel is called A Tale of a Tub. It's name of a Jonathan Swift play, and some of his books were on display there. And it's kind of, the first tune is kind of religious, and maybe the second tune is kind of like anti-religion, and it's followed by one more reel that's called The Potter's Wheel. Thank you. Good job there, Jake. Yeah, so double duty. Back you go now. Yeah. Thanks. So we haven't played any jigs yet, but we thought we'd play these couple. They're from a few years ago. The same McKinney family that one tune was named after. There's another one for that family that's called Annalyn. And he was actually graduating from high school today, so we're thinking of him. And it's a type of a tune that's called a slide. So it's kind of nice in the world of, I mean, how many musicians are out here? How many Irish musicians? Oh, okay, yeah. But it's always nice to explain the jigs, isn't it? So there's actually single jigs, and there are double jigs, and there are slip jigs. And again, there's these types of tunes that are called slides, which I think could be either single jigs or hop jigs. So there we go. There'd be nothing if there wasn't controversy. So, yeah, here we go. So they're supposed to be in 12/8 time. And I suppose we'll have to figure out how that goes. Right. 1, 2, 3, go. Thanks very much. Thanks very much. Well, it's very nice being back in Washington, D.C. I think to myself, I've been here several times under different guises. I came along many, many years ago playing with the Greenfields of America, if anybody remembers that group. Mick Maloney, Sean McGlynn, Charlie and Jack Cohen, Michael Flatley, and oh, you remember that guy. Good for you now. I should have stayed friends with that guy. Well, anyway, so he did well for himself, and those were great times. And then we came back here, I think with, Trion. This is with Billy McComiskey and Dahi Sproul as well. And I've been back here with John Doyle as well, with our duet. So, so it's very comfy land. We're sweating, but that's okay. And plus, it's nice to be here at the Kennedy Center. I was saying to one of the people backstage here that when I was, the first time I went to Ireland was in 1962, and I was 5 years old. And I went again when I was 10 years old, like in 1967. And really, up on the wall was a picture of the Sacred Heart, and a picture of the Pope, and a picture of John F. Kennedy. And that wasn't just my grandparents' house, that was like everybody's house. So it's nice to be here at the Kennedy Center. We're going to play, I hope you were warned that this is a fiddle concert. Okay. I hope you were warned that it's Irish music. Okay, there we go. All right. So we're going to play, remember all those types of jigs? We're going to play a slip jig called Liam Childs. And we're going to follow it with a little tune that I kind of messed about with for a dancer up in Maine, was doing a little choreography. Her name is Molly Gawler. And so the second tune ended up being called Balkan Balkan. So it's about a Balkan who is balking. And it's followed by a tune that's woefully named. It's called the EBE Reel, and it's named after the first three notes of the tune. So there we go. Am I good? Am I good? Yeah, I'm okay. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Losing a few hairs here now. I hope the husband isn't watching. He's been rehairing my bows. A few years ago, I got a chance to kind of branch a little bit away, slightly away, very slightly away from Irish music, very slightly, and write a tune for this fiddle group that are called Child's Play. And it's all these people that have fiddles that are made by this one fella named Bob Childs. And I know somebody in your community, I think Joe Desarn. Does everybody know Joe? He has one of Bob Childs' fiddles. And so anyway, this was a chance to kind of write something verging on old time. And it's called As the Crow Flies. And there, I'm still thinking that that you're very shy, Jake, and that you should just at least, you should say hello.
Hello, everybody. It's really nice to be here. Thank you. Thanks for coming out. I'm very aware about how I say out.
We hear a lot of it during the hockey. We're used to it. All right, so we're giving this a go, and here we go. Sorry for the tuning. Picky instrument. So here we go. you. Well, I'm going to throw Jake back over to the piano there for one. And we're going to do a little bit of a slower piece. So yeah, I've been making up little tunes since I was a little girl. I started on the accordion. My father played the accordion. And I was making little tunes there. And when I switched to the fiddle then, it was interesting actually. My parents never took me to join other musicians or to sit down with anybody when I was on the accordion, but when I started on the fiddle, they took me. So I was able to fit in a little bit better with that instrument, but I still like my accordion at home. And it's nice that it has the left hand for chords and things, and way enjoyable. So this is a little slow piece that I wrote for my father sometime after he passed away. I think there's that universal thing that when somebody that close passes away, you could be 2 months, 3 months, a year down the road, and when you think of them, you get this little lump in the throat and that feeling. And one time it happened to me, and I thought to myself, wow, that feeling is just never far away. And I thought that would be a nice name for a tune. So here it is. very much. I wrote a tune some years ago in that nice Scottish vein of writing tunes for people and where they're going, and I named this tune Barbra Streisand's Trip to Saginaw. And there's a lovely hotel in Saginaw, Michigan, called the Montague, and their claim to fame is that Babs stayed there. And so it was a lot of fun. So in this tune, I figure she's going by train. I'm sure she flew. And we followed it with a tune called Michael Connells. And Michael Connell is a bowron player, you know, the drum. And did that make sense? Okay, you know that drum. And it's, yeah, and I think I just called it Michael Connells. And here you go, these are 2 reels. And maybe we're playing to Sean Healy down there in the front row. Nice fiddle player himself. Well done planting yourself right in the middle in front of us. Thank you. Scary, in other words. Sean, go to the back. Go on, for this one. Just get up and just go back there. Go on, go on, go on. Go on, take him with you. Off you go. Go on, all the way. Wow. All right, here we go. jigs. Thank you so much. Well, I think this is going to be our last little set of tunes here. Hard to believe, the time is flying by here. One of the very first tunes that I ever made up was a jig that was called The Champagne Jig Goes to Columbia, Goes to Washington, D.C. And it's followed by a tune that I wrote for my children, Patrick and Allison, so it's just called Pat and Al's. And there are a couple of double jigs. And then we're going to follow that with really a very recent kind of a tune from a couple of years ago. I was down in North Carolina, and while I was there, I actually saved a pig. And this is a big deal for somebody from Chicago. The little piglet got stuck behind Mom and was squealing its little head off. Have you been around this at all? Anybody experienced this? And so you had to do something, and so we just kind of moved in behind it, the bomb, and then just kind of put the foot to her, and then helped the little guy out. So I was very delighted with this, and came home to my house in Illinois, and was telling the family, oh, by the way, I saved a pig. And when I told this, my brother was quiet for a second, and then turned to me and he said, Liz, you saved the ham. And thought Save the Ham was a good name for a tune. So it's going to be 2 jigs and then Save the Ham. And you'll get to hear what I heard. You have to save him. So you'll hear a little bit of the pig squealing sometime towards the end of this tune. Jake Charron there on the guitar and on the piano.
Liz Carroll, everybody.
And we couldn't be more proud to be part of this. And I hope that you've all had a great few weeks here in Washington. I wish we could have been here for all of it, all the great music that came through especially. And so here we go. We'll finish with these. Cheers, thank you. Jake Charron again, and Liz Carroll. Wonderful to meet you all. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us tonight and also joining us every night for the Ireland 100 Festival and making it a success. Thank you and have a good night.